Hi, and thank you so much for joining me here on the Gardening Me. I'm Margaret, and today I thought I would show you what I do to put my beds to bed for winter, my raised beds, that is. And I actually started the cleanup process a while ago, but my raised beds are usually one of the last things I do. In fact, there are still a few beds in here that are not totally cleared out because I have some things still growing, such as parsley and Brussels sprouts and kale. So those beds are still going, and depending on how late they go, I probably will not actually even get to those until the spring. But otherwise, I do enjoy preparing beds in the fall so that they are ready to go in the spring, and I really don't have to do anything other than the odd amendment to the soil right before I plant. This is the bed I'm going to clean up now, and this was the old tomato bed. Here you see there's a bunch of straw because I put straw on the base of the plants. Up here is actually a bunch of extra soil that I dumped in because the level of the soil has decreased quite a lot from when I first filled these beds last fall. So I'll just do a close-up here to show you. So you can see that's a good, 3 inches or so it's gone down. I did have extra soil, so I just threw a wheelbarrow or two in each of the beds, and I'm gonna have to spread that out. So the first thing I'm gonna do is pull back the irrigation lines so that they're out of the way. And I just move them out of the way so that I can get into the bed nice and easy. So first thing I'm gonna do is rake off this straw. Normally I dispose of the straw for the tomato beds. I don't put it in the compost. I don't put it on other beds just because there are typically diseases in the tomato beds, and I don't want to spread those around the garden. This year was a relatively disease-free year for tomatoes, which was awesome, but I was thinking of holding on to the straw, but you know what? The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking that even though I didn't really see diseases running rampant through the bed, do I really want to take the chance and possibly spread something throughout the beds unknowingly if there perhaps are some spores there? Maybe the diseases started kind of developing closer to the end of the season and I didn't really notice it, and I don't know. I'm thinking, to be on the safe side, I am going to still dispose of the straw for the tomato beds. And now this extra soil that I put in the bed, I'm just going to distribute it evenly throughout the bed. So next is a layer of compost. These are 8x4 beds, and typically these are, I don't know how big these buckets are. These are kind of like, there's the big Home Depot buckets and the small buckets. I'll put on the screen what size buckets these are, but I will put 4 buckets of these smaller ones of compost in each of the beds, and I do that on an annual basis. Now, I do make my own compost, but I have nowhere near enough compost to do all of the raised beds. There are 18 raised beds in total. I probably have enough compost for maybe 5, maybe 6. So I have to actually go out and purchase compost or get it from the municipality, which I have done in the past. This year I'm trying a new sort of compost, which I found at a local landscape company, and it is leaf compost. So basically it is decomposed leaves, which I'm thinking would be fairly close to leaf mold, which is one of the best things you can add to your garden. So I picked up half a yard of it. I'm thinking that'll be enough for my 12 beds in the main garden area. I'm just spreading the compost on the top and not even really working it in, just kind of raking it over the top. So over the winter, it will start working down into the soil. And by the time I actually get planting this next spring, it'll be ready to go and ready to give my plants all the nutrients. And now I'm just going to put my irrigation lines back, and I'm just going to lay them on top of the bed. And there's one final step that I do to protect the soil over the winter. Last on the bed are these, and these are chopped up leaves. So I'm just going to put these on the bed in a very light layer. And in fact, it is a little bit windy, and I've turned off the water already to the outside. So I don't have a hose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a watering can, and I am going to water on the leaves after I put them on, just so that they stay put. Okay, so just a very light layer of leaves. You don't want to overdo it, because if you put on too thick a layer as well, in the spring you'll have an insulating layer that will actually make it so that the soil stays frozen longer. When I used to do this in the past, I actually used to use straw. I did pile it on one year way too thick. I think I put on 5 or 6 inches of straw, and it ended up freezing to the bed. I also didn't fluff it up at all, so I learned my lesson the hard way. So that's it. I have about 7 beds to do right now. There are still 5 beds that I have occupied with things like chard and Brussels sprouts and kale, but any that are empty right now, I'm just going to get those done. There is one bed that I'm not clearing, and that's one where I had all of my poppies earlier in the year. And that bed is bursting with green right now, with self-seeded poppies primarily, plus a few other things that haven't yet died down with the frosts. And I'm actually interested to know what happens next year with this bed. I don't know. It'll be an interesting experiment. So I've decided just to leave it, just to see what happens. I'll actually give you a little peek of that right now. So here is the crazy bed that I'm going to just let go until next year. This is all poppies. You can see all the buds. Not that anything's going to come of them. My goodness, it's insane. And I have some rudbeckia in here as well. Look at this. Is actually opening. This actually was here since the beginning, since the spring, and it got completely overshadowed by all of the poppies, so it just sat there all year, and now it's coming out. I have some nigella. Whoops. I have nigella here. Let me get out of the way. That's beautiful. Absolutely, I'm going to have some self-seeders for that in here. I have my scabiosa still going strong. I've harvested a lot of seeds from here already. I have a bergamot, which is basically done. Lighting isn't the best right now, but you get the idea. So I am very interested to know what's going to happen in here. So that's about it for the gardening season. There are still a few odds and sods that I have left to do, but not much at all. And then it's just going to be time to hunker down and plan and dream about next year, which is also one of my favorite times of the year. As much as I love the garden, I also really appreciate the break over the winter to kind of reassess, to also deal with everything inside, because I gotta tell you, when I'm busy outside, the inside gets a little bit neglected. So the fall and winter is the time when I get my acting gear and really get the inside of our house, and specifically our basement and my grow area in the basement. Ooh, it is not a pretty sight right now. So I'm really looking forward to getting that sorted as well. Anyhow, thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.